Put it down there. All right.
Some of those singers had horrible voices.
A charity concert without horrible voices would not be a charity concert, George. By the way, it's a small matter, but there is an H in horrible.
Not where I come from, there ain't. What a crowd of swells. I've caught everybody, my lord, name being contradicted once.
No?
Who's the tall bloke alongside the mistress?
The tall bloke is Lord Elton, a rich, eligible bachelor.
Seems to have an eye to her.
He has two eyes to her.
Here comes a couple of them.
Oh, Charles, may we have some tea, please?
It will be here in a moment. George, get the tea.
Thank you. Oh, Charles. Thank you, Charles.
Not at all, my lady.
Oh, Maria, isn't Charles divine? Oh, every time I see him, I realize how much our family needs a drop of new blood. Did you speak in here, too? Hello, Madeline.
Thank heavens this comic concert is almost over.
Oh, now, Willie, don't grumble. It's very sweet of Mrs. Cheyney to have lent her house. Your wife's quite right, Willie. What a darling Fay is. Where did you meet Mrs. Cheyney, Maria?
In the gambling rooms at Monte Carlo. Later, we stopped at the same hotel in Paris. Tea, Willie?
No, thanks. I think I'll dash myself against a whiskey and soda.
Maria, who is Mrs. Cheyney?
She's the widow of a rich Australian. You think she'll marry that idiot Elton?
Well, I rather fancy he's in love with her.
I know another bloke who isn't far off it, too.
Arthur Dilly. She doesn't appear to be the slightest bit impressed by him.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, hello.
How are you, Willie?
All to the merry, old boy. All to the merry. I say, have a little snifter.
Thank you.
Did you see Mrs. Cheyney?
I couldn't. She was entirely surrounded by Elton.
Why don't you marry her, Arthur?
She wouldn't have me. Anyway, by marrying, I can make only one woman miserable. By remaining single, I can make so many happy.
That's swank.
Ah! Elton. So there you are. Whiskey and soda?
Thank you. No.
How about a glass of milk?
Not at the moment.
Where is Mrs. Cheyney?
She'll be here presently.
She's rather an attractive woman, isn't she, Elton?
Well, personally, I prefer the word likable to attractive.
Mm-hmm. I differ. To accuse a beautiful woman of being likable is to suggest that her underclothes are made of linoleum.
Angel. Aha!
Mrs. Cheyney.
Oh, Lord Dilling. I'm going to scold you all for running away from my concert display.
No,
don't.
please.
I'm afraid you hate it.
Oh, we adore it, lovely.
What's more to the point, we all adore you.
That's a sentiment to which I heartily subscribe.
Thank you, my lord. After you've all had tea, you must go back into the drawing room. Because Lord Elton is going to make a little speech for us about this charity.
Lord Elton, would you just come here and give me just some tea?
Oh, Mrs. Webley, have some tea, won't you?
Thank you, dear, yes. How do you
Mrs.
take
Cheyney.
it? Sugar, please. How many? Well,
Yesterday I called you up 5 times, and each time I was told you were out.
What a shame.
Were you out?
No, each time I was in. Twice I answered it myself and told you I was out.
Oh, really?
Pardon me. Shall I start the collection, madam?
Yes, Charles.
Very well.
His face is very familiar.
My butler?
Yes, I don't know where I've seen him before.
Does it worry you?
It interests me. It interests me to know why a gentleman should be your butler.
Arthur,
Yes, Auntie?
I've made Mrs. Cheyney promise to come to me Friday week. When you all come.
That'll be awfully jolly.
Splendid. Then I'll take you down.
Oh, Lord Elton has kindly offered to drive me from London.
Oh, great. Then I'll get Elton to give me a lift. And may I get you a cup of tea?
So sorry, but I promised to give Lord Elton some tea in the library. Excuse me.
certainly. Of course, dear.
Oh, Arthur!
Oh, darling.
Oh, go to the devil.
Cream?
Please.
Sugar?
Please. No sugar, please.
I'll take that.
You see, I don't care much for sweet things.
Oh, no?
Oh, but of course, that doesn't apply to the fair sex.
Oh, but I heard differently.
May I ask what you heard?
That you don't like women. Oh, but I hope I am the exception. I should hate you not to like me.
Well, frankly, I have to confess I know very little about women. But I like you very much.
Oh, I'm so glad.
And I hope you like me.
Oh, I do. Very much.
I'm so pleased. Very pleased.
I'm so glad you're pleased.
So am I.
Excuse me. The audience are awaiting our speech, my lord.
Thank you. Well, back to duty. Yeah.
Duty to you, perhaps, but to me a pleasure.
Oh, charming of you.
Lord Dilling has asked me to tell you, my lord, that no one is more eager for you to begin than he is.
Oh. Yeah. I've another idea. You must stay here and rest.
Oh,
Yes, you've had a tiring day.
Oh, but I wouldn't miss your speech for worlds.
Really? I have it. I'll leave that door open and speak loudly. Then you can stay here and enjoy. Listen to me at your ease. Now, may I? A cushion?
Thank you.
There. Yes. You will leave this door open.
Yes.
I'll be back. I'll be back.
Well, isn't this delightful? Aren't you grateful to me?
For what?
For ridding you of that awful bore.
It isn't Lord Elton who bores me.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Well, it won't be long now.
before I touch upon this great cause, a cause which must appeal directly to the heart of every right-minded British man and woman,
Would you mind removing your hat, please?
a cause to which we have devoted our time, our energy, our energy and our time, as it were, in propaganda and organization. I wish to propose a vote of thanks to the very charming lady who has offered such gracious hospitality today to so many unhappy women.
Hear, hear. Hear, hear.
Or rather, to us who are so keenly interested in protecting unhappy women.
Would you pardon?
I mean the Society for the Protection of Unhappy Women.
Please don't. I want to hear Lord Elton.
You'd much sooner listen to me.
Well, really?
Oh, please.
You will be pleased to hear
That this charming lady likes us all so much, and we like her all so much, vice versa, as it were, that we hope she will remain among us permanently.
Yeah.
In my small way, I have endeavored.
Are you rude to everyone?
Why didn't you answer me when I called you up yesterday?
I don't care to be alone with you, even on a telephone.
You're not going to embarrass me by telling me that you're nervous of me.
Oh, you happen to be one of the few men in the world I'm not nervous of. And I feel I ought to be.
Modestly, may I ask why?
I'm told that you've kept more married men at home than any other man of modern times.
And still I don't attract you?
Isn't it odd?
Yes, it's very disappointing.
Yes, I feel that too. My dear Lord Dilling, if I allow you to call me Fay, may I call you Arthur?
I've always wanted to. Fay.
Thank you, Arthur.
May I ask why I don't attract you?
I realize you should. For you're not actually plain, exquisitely indifferent, even rude to people. Great sense of humor, brilliant, and,
What else?
That's the trouble. Nothing else.
Oh. Yes, I gather you formed a rather low opinion of me.
Oh, it might be more civil of me to put it in another way. I haven't a very high one of you.
Really?
Have you of yourself?
Not at the moment.
Then, there's hope.
Thank you.
Tell me, why were you so anxious to get me on the telephone yesterday?
I wanted to tell you again that you were the most attractive woman I had ever known.
Am I?
I hadn't considered whether you were or not.
Oh, splendid. And then?
If that went well, I propose to suggest a little supper in my flat.
And if that went well?
Then I am experienced enough not to have said another word until after the dessert.
Divine. And now?
The supper invitation still stands.
How disappointing. I thought you were clever. But you're really rather stupid.
What do you mean?
Oh, to attempt with me what I suppose has succeeded with so many women.
Oh. I see your point. Well, naturally, if a woman comes all the way from Australia to England with the deliberate intention of marrying
Arthur, ring the bell, will you?
What for?
Charles knows where your hat is.
May I say, in conclusion, how glad I...
Well, swallow that one, Arthur. And that.
You wished for your hat and stick, my lord.
So I've been given to understand. I can't remember, can you?
What, my lord?
Where we met.
We have never met, my lord.
Oh, I assure you we have. I was educated at Oxford.
I once passed through Oxford on the train, my lord.
Your manner of speech suggests that you might have got out and stayed there for a few years.
I had no idea that Oxford had a school for butlers, my lord.
Oh, thank you. Were you with Mrs. Cheyney in Australia?
Oh, has Mrs. Cheyney ever been to Australia, my lord?
Didn't you know she had?
Then Mrs. Cheyney would never think of discussing her affairs with servants.
I accept the rebuke.
There was none meant, my lord.
Well, I shall remember one of these days.
And now, my dear, no matter what engagements you may have, you won't forget my weekend party Friday week. Whatever else I may forget, I shall certainly not forget that. Oh, thank you. Charles, will you see Mrs. Webby to her car, please? Goodbye, my dear. Goodbye, Mrs. Webby. So sweet of you. Just lovely to have you. Yes. Goodbye. Goodbye, Fay, darling. Goodbye, Mariah. Darling, you won't forget our luncheon, will you? Oh, I shall be looking forward to it. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Now someone is talking on my phone. Tired?
Are you still here?
I couldn't leave without saying goodbye to my charming hostess.
Goodbye.
And I want to apologize. To ask your pardon.
What?
Really? I should never dream of asking you to have supper with me again, except in the company of at least 2 bishops. Am I forgiven?
I'm not sure.
Oh, then I must argue the point. May I stay?
I beg your pardon, my lord. Your chauffeur has been waiting for some time.
Well, it's a lovely afternoon. Tell him to wait a little longer.
Very good, my lord.
You know, I like that fellow.
My butler?
Yes, I like his insolence.
He was rude to you?
The reverse. I've often been told to go to blazes, but never so pleasantly as he told me a moment ago.
I shall dismiss him for that.
Oh, no, don't.
He should have known you'd already gone.
But I haven't. Who told you I had?
Oh, some of the women that went part of the way with you?
I'd go the whole way for a woman who said a thing like that.
What a pity it is I've chosen the other direction.
With Elton for your companion?
At least he would know the way.
Tell me, did you learn the art of rebuking people so charmingly from your butler, or did he learn it from you?
Neither. I expect Charles feels very much the way I do about it. If there are to be insults, let us get them in first.
I wonder if you tell me what you mean by that.
I'd like to. During the short time you've known me, Arthur, you have made me practically every proposal a man can make a woman, with one exception, marriage. You have treated me as well, there are various names for that type of woman. I haven't given you the slightest encouragement, and I want you to know I resent it very much. Do I make myself clear?
Painfully so. May I get myself a drink?
Why, certainly.
Thank you. May I offer you one?
No, thanks. I'm afraid I'm not at all modern. I don't smoke, I don't drink, and I don't swear.
I'm so sorry. I forgot. You know, you depress me. I don't feel half the fellow I thought I was. And it's rather a blow.
You don't drink alcohol with your meals, do you?
I do. Why do you ask?
Because you seem to drink so much between them.
Oh, do I? I suppose you despise me even more if I were to finish this.
Why, not at all.
Thank you.
I should like you more if you didn't, that's all. Angry with me?
I don't know. I'm something with you, but I don't know what it is. Do you know I believe you're going to reform me? As I can see myself joining one of Elton's purity leagues and pointing you out as the good woman who showed me the way.
It almost makes one resolve to be a good woman.
Resolve? Aren't you a good woman?
Not very.
Then what do you mean by talking to me as you have?
There's more than one way of being a good woman.
There is more. Are you a good woman or are you not?
Why do you want to know?
Because I shall feel such a fool if you're not.
I am.
Oh. Could anything be more respectable than that?
Nothing.
And it's the one thing in my life that I've never done before. Goodbye. You are to assume that I have blown you an honorable kiss.
caution. Oh, damn this Vicky. Blooming thing's choking me.
I see big Bill, what a bunch of rummies there. You're a regular knockout, you are. Boys, let's have a drink, eh? Yeah. Let's celebrate. Come on. Yes. One for you. Now, don't drown yourself, George. Don't drown.
I like this.
Yes.
I would like one.
Jolly good luck, old girl.
Good luck to you, Fay. All the way home.
You must be mad. And the curtain's not drawn?
That's a good one.
Never thought of that.
Well, Fay dear, has our charity concert borne fruit?
Yes. I have the invitation. I've been asked to stay with Mrs. Webley as the honored guest Friday week.
Great. Isn't it? Family boy, that was a great idea of yours. You know, them there bird's eggs of old Lady Webley's struck me as being worth, say, £30,000. And then some. But she's got better ones at home.
Blimey. If we could pull this off, we could retire and live like swell.
Yeah.
I should have added, I have indebtedly accepted the invitation.
What are you talking about?
Any more of that, Charles, will decide me positively not to do it.
But look here. Now,
She's gone. Pretty lot of little pets you have, Charles.
May I ask, my love, why you were in doubt?
Certainly. I happen to like these people all very much, Charles, and the idea of taking Mrs. Webley's pearls from her is very distasteful.
I understand.
Oh, for heaven's sake, let's sing in 355 and have done with it. So you're fallen for the swells, have you?
Perhaps you have ideas of becoming lady help.
Who can say?
You know, the other man is hardly the marrying kind.
So they tell me.
And don't forget one thing, my sweet. The pearls we want for Mrs. Webley were taken by that lady from the wives of the men who gave them to her.
That's true. You're right, Charles. You're always right.
Oh.
Bill, old dear, what was the name of that tune you wanted me to play?
Carefree and happy.
Carefree and happy. All right,
all
come on.
together, boys. Carefree and happy, some good times are coming. We won't have trouble no more. I'm happy, carefree, be happy. Where I love, come find me. And a horseshoes over my door. I want a big rainbow. It's my lucky day. No wonder I'm shouting hooray! Carefree and happy, for good times are coming. I won't have trouble no more.
Is anything amiss?
Why, no.
You seem thoughtful tonight.
Why, it is nothing.
Oh, what a divine night. How I should love to be out of that exquisite garden, being told by someone I was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen.
Who would you like to be told that by in particular?
Wouldn't give a hang, darling, so long as it was a man and I was told it. Doing anything for a few minutes, Arthur?
I am, but Willie isn't.
Come and make love to me in the garden, Willie.
Not tonight, Joan. It's too windy.
Pete?
My word, how I hate my face.
Supposing you had to live with it like your poor wife has.
I never thought of that. I'll give you a little present.
Thank you, Willie. I deserve it.
Allow me.
Oh, that's very civil of you, Arthur.
Not at all. I just don't want you to look over my hand.
Am I to assume that you think I would cheat?
You are to assume that I am sure you would cheat.
Why are you making those curious noises?
I was only laughing.
Who's two appear to be getting along famously.
Beautiful, beautiful, really. You know, here's a charming little thing. I used to sing it myself in my younger days.
Really?
Michael.
Isn't she charming?
Adorable. You know, I'm getting rather a sneaking liking for her myself.
Really?
One note, Tom.
All those endearing young charms which I gaze on so fondly today were to change by tomorrow and fleet in my arms like fairy gifts.
Gracious heavens!
Sounds like bathwater running away.
Please, stop making that silly noise.
Are you speaking to me or to Elton?
To you.
Oh.
I'm afraid our little concert is hardly being appreciated.
Doubtless they would prefer jazz.
Do listen. Do listen. The nightingale. Oh, Arthur, darling, that's so romantic. You should go on.
Mother, we
Now,
must
you're
follow
right.
our
Listen.
There it is again.
Seems rather hot in here. I think I'll take a stroll in the garden.
Hey. May I escort you? I know a great deal about the geography of gardens.
Too much.
Charles. Charles.
Hey.
I got your message. Is anything wrong? Are you losing your nerve?
No, it's not that, but... Oh, it's all so distasteful. You see, Charles, during my adopted career, I've never before persuaded people to invite me to their homes for the purpose of robbing them. Mrs. Webley is so sweet to me. To take her pearls when I like her. I like them all. They're so charming to me, and...
Whom do you find particularly charming? Lord Elton? Or Lord Dilling? Of course, if you think you can find happiness, why, I shan't stand in your way.
Oh, you make it sound so selfish.
I hadn't meant to, my dear.
But William and the others...
They all think you're letting them down. But don't let that persuade you.
I didn't like these people so much, Charles. Don't you understand?
Perfectly. In my time, I've been sentimental. A pity you have gifts. But perhaps it's not your vocation. Well, Fay, dear, this ends a delightful partnership.
Oh, Charles, I'm sorry. I wish I could.
I shall miss you.
Why, Charles. Charles.
Why, what is it, Fay?
You're right. I am letting you down, and I can't do that. I can't.
Why, surely...
I know it wouldn't be fair, not after what you've done for me. Taken me from the drudgery of that dreadful London shop. Given me the only comfort, the only glimpse of beauty that I've ever had. Besides, I've just realized. Our money's almost gone. What would you do?
Oh, I should fall on my feet. I always do.
No, I've got to go through with it. After all, you and the others should be more to me than these people.
But are we?
Yes, yes. And afterwards, what was it George said? We'll live like swells.
That's my sweet. I knew you wouldn't fail me.
Mrs. Cheyney. Mrs. Cheyney.
And now remember, our signal. Courage, my sweet.
Ah, there you are.
Oh.
I've been hunting for you all over the garden.
Oh, really?
I sneaked away from the drawing room. The fact is, I was very anxious to see you alone.
Oh, really?
There's something I've been wanting to tell you for quite a time.
Yes?
But I know so little about women.
Yes, so you told me before.
Eh? Oh, yes, to be sure, yes. Well, I hardly know how to say it.
Well, perhaps you'd better not say it then.
Possibly. I've a better idea. Tonight, when you are alone in your quiet little room.
Lord Elton.
Eh? Oh, my dear lady, I don't mean what you mean. I
should hope not.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear, I am making a mess of it, aren't I?
Slightly.
But I only meant to send you a little note.
Oh.
However, we'll say no more about it for the moment. Yes. Well, now, tell me about your country.
My country?
Yes, tell me about Australia.
Oh, yes, to be sure. You've been there, of course?
Why, no. No, unfortunately.
Well, you see, when we were having winter there, you were having summer here.
Jolly odd there.
Yes.
And the flora and fauna?
Well, yes, we have trees and flowers and kangaroos. You know, hopping all about.
Amusing beggars, what?
Yes.
Careful of their young and all that, huh?
Yes.
Romantic, eh?
What, kangaroos?
Oh, no. I meant the garden, the night. Oh, my dear lady, I feel that I shouldn't wait.
I really don't know why I play this silly game. You know, it bores me frightfully.
Nobody else knows.
What is played there, dear?
My dear, now do please try and pay attention.
Well, I haven't got any, dear. I'll just throw away that, eh?
All right.
He's worried. Mrs. Cheyney's been out with Elton for a long time.
Hours? He may well be. They'll probably come back engaged.
Fancy waking up in the morning and finding Elton alongside one.
Isn't it dreadful?
Do you think Arthur's in love with Mrs. Cheyney? Shh. Arthur, darling, may I ask you a question?
Am I in love with Mrs. Cheyney?
How clever of you to guess. Yes. Are you?
I think I am.
He does.
Darling, well, so wonderful. You know, I'm so excited I can't bear it. Do you think Mrs. Cheyney's coming back into this room with future Lady Elton?
Well, does it follow that because two people go out into a garden alone for a few moments that they should return engaged to be married?
Well, no two people ever stayed alone in a beautiful garden on a beautiful night like this without something happening. And as it's Elton, I say that it's marriage.
I disagree. Unless he has altered very much, I suggest that he is describing to her, in detail, the history of England.
Oh. Well, if he is, I hope she tells him she's not that sort of woman and slaps his face. Oh,
Hush! My dear, here they come.
I say, let us continue.
They're coming in from the garden. I do hope
Now,
they're
what
not
is played
engaged.
this time?
Very good, very busy.
Oh, my dear, I
They're in the
played
room.
twice. I'm awfully sorry. I knew I'd make a mistake before the evening
Willie,
was out.
really, you're so
But I
annoying.
can't help it, my dear. I don't care for the
Well,
game.
now,
Never
come on,
did.
do something
Oh,
about this.
there you are.
Mrs. Cheyney,
Yes?
has contracted a little headache.
Who shall blame her?
My dear, I'm so sorry you have a headache. Let me get you something.
Oh, no, thank you, Mrs. Webby. Please don't bother. But I think if you'll excuse me, I'll just go to bed.
Well, good night, dear.
Good night. You'll all excuse me, won't you?
Why, with pleasure.
Good night, Fay, darling. Mayn't I help you? No, it's nothing at all. Good night.
Good night, Fay, dear. Good night, dear. So sorry you have a headache.
Hope you'll feel much better in the morning. Now we've got to continue again, haven't we?
Arthur, please, Doctor, keep your mind on this.
I trust you will have recovered by the morning. Don't forget, I'll send a letter to your room.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Good night, Mrs. Cheyney.
Good night, Lord Elton.
Well, pardon me, madam, but you are wanted on the telephone.
Oh, thank you. Hello? Hello, who is it? Are you there?
Yes, here I am.
Oh, so it was you who called me.
Yes. Yes, I hope you don't mind.
Well, really,
You've been so occupied tonight. I wanted to talk to you.
I'm sorry, but I
Oh,
would...
please. Won't you?
Very well, then. But I warn you, you'll have to be very amusing.
Did you accept Elton?
What makes you think I had the opportunity to?
Did you refuse him?
I did not.
In the end, you will.
Oh, why?
Because his wealth and his position will in no way compensate you for his dullness, his stupidity.
Well, assuming all that to be true, the love of a good man surely stands for something.
Not at all. That is proved by the fact that it is always a bad man who is the correspondent.
Oh. Tell me why you're so interested in my marrying Lord Elton.
Obvious. I'm in love with you myself.
Oh, from anyone else, that would suggest a proposal of marriage.
If you like,
Don't look at me like that, Arthur. I shall believe you.
you can.
You seriously mean to tell me you want to marry me?
Oh, no, I wouldn't say that.
Oh.
Don't misunderstand me. To me, the idea of marriage has always been the death and burial of all romance. But since I know you don't agree with me, rather than lose you, I'm prepared to be at any church you like to name at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning.
I must attract you very much, Arthur.
More than I care to acknowledge, even to myself. For the first time in my life, I don't understand myself. I'm unhappy when I'm not with you, and I'm unhappy when I am. I see nothing but you when you're present, and nothing but you when you're not. Your voice is the only one I ever hear. In fact, let us face it, I've got it worse than any of God's creatures ever had it before.
There are 3 reasons why I should like to marry you, Arthur.
Being?
1, I like you terribly.
Are the other 2 important?
2, it would be such fun to go to tea with all the women that you haven't married.
And the third?
I should be some sort of a widow again within a year.
Yes, it's a risk, I agree, but I think it's worth it. You don't agree? No? Why?
I know too much about you. And you know too little about me.
Is there anything more to know about you than I do?
3 volumes, closely printed.
What do you mean? Aren't you all that I think of you as a woman?
In what way do you think of me as a woman?
All those things that a man demands of the woman he is going to marry.
I am every one of the things that you mean.
I know you are. You're an angel. Ah, well, I take it that my first and only offer of marriage is rejected. been laughing at me by any chance?
What makes you think so?
I don't know. You look so strange. I should be angry with you if you were. Are you laughing at me?
The reverse. It's the first time in my life that I remember not laughing at myself.
Oh, Fay.
Really, I have a headache.
I'm so sorry. Let me get you some aspirin.
No, thanks. I'll just go to bed. Good night.
Good night. Fay. Perhaps in time? Just friends.
Just friends.
Oh, there you are, Arthur.
What a fool I've been. What a fool.
What's the matter with you, Arthur? What are you talking about?
Been trying to place a fellow for days. Just remembered where I saw him. An hotel at Monte Carlo. A crook. Caught in the act. It amused me to help him get away. Funny.
I see. What on earth are you raving about? I thought you chuck drinking, Arthur.
Yes? Well, here's how.
I think I'll toddle. Cheerio, old squirt. Oh, I beg your pardon, Mrs. Webley.
Really?
Oh, I didn't mean you, Mrs. Webley.
Oh, good night, Willie.
Nighty-night, Mrs. Webley.
Oh, Arthur, I thought you'd gone to bed. Why, what's the trouble? You look worried.
Oh, no, not at all. I'm a little tired. These are rather good, if I may say so, my dear aunt.
These are more than rather good, if I may say so, Arthur, dear.
Insured?
To be vulgar, for £50,000.
What do you do with them at night?
Nothing. Just leave them alongside my bed. Good night, Arthur, dear.
Good night.
Don't stay up too late.
No. beautiful, aren't they? But they hardly become you. So, this is the immaculate Mrs. Cheyney, who fooled me so completely that I asked her to be my wife. Oh, my wife. Well, that, of course, is impossible now. And nevertheless, my dear, I still adore you.
What are you doing? How dare you? Give me that key.
Ah.
Leave this room at once.
Champagne, cigarettes. I asked you, could anyone be more thoughtful?
You leave this room at once, do you hear me? Or I'll call for help.
There's a night bell over there. Ring it. Bring the whole house here, if you want them to know who you really are. But believe me, when they do, they will have less sympathy for you than I have. And I do hope you'll believe me when I say that I sympathize with you very much.
Please go.
No. I like you too much. A glass of champagne? A little later, perhaps. I drink to you, Fay, darling, to your beauty and to my good fortune. Will you have a cigarette?
Thanks. I don't mind.
Ah.
How disappointing you look in that dressing gown.
Oh, and I wore the one that suits me best. How depressing. It must be me.
How did you find it out, Arthur?
I recognized your... what is Charles, by the way?
My butler?
Yes, I mean in his spare time.
Still, my butler.
Oh.
How did you recognize him?
I saved him from jail once.
Couldn't see your way to making a habit of it?
I have a horror of doing the same thing twice.
I sympathize.
You married to him?
I'm nothing to him. We're just in business together.
Just friends. Intimate friends.
Are you suggesting Charles is anything to me?
I am suggesting that Charles and I have just one thing in common. We are both very human, and you're a very beautiful woman.
Possibly. But Charles has the intelligence to know the women he can be human with. You should see more of him.
I expect to.
What terribly nice cigarettes.
I'll send you some.
That's sweet of you. I'll give you my address tomorrow, when I know it.
Are you thinking of changing it?
I have an idea. You might make it difficult for me to keep it.
Oh, certainly not.
But I'm right, am I not, in saying I can't keep it at the same price?
Well, one always expects to pay a little more for the thing one wants enough.
Quite. But I don't think I want it at your terms.
Oh, very well.
Arthur, if you want to be really generous, please go.
No. Not for anything in the world. You see, I've always wanted to spend an evening alone with you like this, ever since I've known you.
I see. Then do I understand you rightly? If I allow you to stay, you'll say nothing?
Nothing?
And if I don't?
I shall still say nothing. But we shall be found here together in the morning. You understand?
Quite.
No, my dear. I'm sorry, but I shall have to detain you a little longer. Ah, that's better. A glass of champagne?
Thank you.
I adore you, Fay.
Thank you. Arthur.
Yes, darling?
I wonder if it would interest you to know that although I've done nearly everything else there is to do in this world, being locked in a room with a man is an experience that I've never had. You don't believe me?
Oh, what a fool you'd think me if I did.
But then why should I say it?
Merely a trick to make me sentimental and open that door so that you may make a fool of me again.
Surely to refuse to be your wife wasn't making a fool of you?
Well, obviously you couldn't very well accept that, could you?
No, I suppose not.
I'm sorry, Fay.
Oh, you don't know how wrong you are about me.
I only know that you look so innocent, so adorable, that if I were without knowledge of the world, I should open that door and never even hear you laughing at me as I went out.
But if I were not laughing at you... Oh, you think this is just the usual thing in my life?
And why not?
Why not? I can quite understand your not believing me. And I'm sorry, because you happen to be the one person in the world I should like to have believe in me. But as you won't, I'll do the next best thing.
And what does that mean?
That means that if you don't believe I have never done a thing of this sort before, you will at all events believe I am not going to do it now. You will leave this room or I'll ring that bell. You don't think you can remain in this room, do you?
I certainly intend to.
Oh, do you? Well, I prefer a million times that everyone here should know what is true about me than you should believe what isn't. I'll give you one more chance to leave this room.
Nothing would induce me to.
For the last time, leave this room.
For the last time, I will do nothing of the sort. You're much too sensible to take the risk of being the guest of King George for probably 5 years, rather than mine for one night.
5 years with King George wouldn't be nearly as long as one night with you. Are you going? Very well, then. I am overwhelmed with loyalty. God save the king.
In heaven's name, do you realize what you've done?
Perfectly.
Don't you understand? In a few minutes, they'll all come rushing in here.
I do.
You fool!
Evidently, I had to be in some form or other. I prefer this one.
Go into that bathroom and hide. I'll get rid of them.
Thanks. But like many other women, a great deal of my life has been devoted to not being discovered in bathrooms.
Get in there, I tell you.
No, Arthur, darling. If either of us is discovered in that bathroom, believe me, it is going to be you. What are you going to do?
Get out of here, of course. Where the devil's that key?
Robert, ma'am. Anything wrong?
I mustn't be seen in here. Don't you understand?
I understand perfectly. Open the door. Why do you hesitate? Think how it would add to your reputation. A man who crossed me.
Ma'am.
You're afraid? Give me the key.
Ma'am.
Robert, what's the matter?
Well, I don't know, ma'am. I heard the bell, and I came upstairs. I can't get in here.
I thought I heard a commotion. What is it?
Well, Robert says they rang the bell.
Rang
Oh,
the
tell me. Come quickly. Mrs. Cheyney.
What's the matter, Elton? I'm all of a jither.
Let me. What is it?
Just a moment. Lord Dilling will open the door.
Ah, Shearer! What
What is he doing in there?
I hope you're satisfied.
Again?
Arthur, what is the meaning of this?
Lord Dilling has something to tell you, Mrs. Webley.
Well, what is it, Arthur?
What is it? Do you hear?
What is it, Arthur?
Would you prefer that I tell them?
No. I tricked Mrs. Cheyney into letting me into this room. In the presence of you all, I humbly tell her that I have behaved like a cad.
Cad? You are the lowest thing I've ever known.
I don't know what to say to you, Arthur. I could have never believed you capable of a foul thing like this.
I was perfectly aware of it. I knew the type of man he was. Dilling, I hope every decent person will cut you. I certainly shall. Your conduct, sir, has been outrageous. Absolutely outrageous.
Oh, my pearls.
There are your pearls, Mrs. Webley. You see, I like them as well as you do. Lord Dilling can tell you I took them from your room half an hour ago.
A thief.
Good heavens. Do you mean you meant to? But there's some mistake. There must be.
None.
But this is incredible. There is some mistake.
Oh, this is too terrible, too horrible, too awful. And to think I made a friend of a woman like you.
Ghastly. And I've asked her to be my wife.
Elsie.
Oh, Lord,
Pardon me.
Charles!
I do hope you will excuse the intrusion, but I found the front door locked.
Well,
Courage, partner. We are entirely at your disposal.
Well, should we not send for the police? I could never sleep a wink with those people in the house.
No. Think of the scandal. Let us talk it over first.
Quite right, Elton. I suggest that you all return to your rooms. It will be much wiser to discuss the matter quietly in the morning.
I suppose you're right. But those dreadful people.
Don't worry, I'll keep an eye on them. We can decide what is to be done in the morning.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the best way, Mrs. Webley. Now, allow me.
I see. I'll stick along with you, Dilling.
Will you? You'll do nothing of the sort. Come back to bed.
I see. Take this anyhow, old man.
I'm afraid I'm no credit to you, Charles. But you mustn't scold me.
No, it hadn't occurred to me.
You've met our distinguished jailer, haven't you?
Thanks. Yes, I've had that pleasure. Oh, Fay, you must be tired. Why don't you lie down? Come. Forget it all, dear. Get some sleep. Would you like anything of you?
down.
Thank you.
Cream, Willie?
No. Black. Pitch black.
Hello, everybody. Isn't it a lovely morning?
Oh, don't be so horribly cheerful.
Oh, Willie. Good morning, Lord Elton.
Morning.
How did you sleep?
I didn't.
And who cares? What a night. I didn't sleep a wink. That dreadful woman. And when I think how she trapped me into taking her up. And the ridiculous fuss I made about her. Introducing her to all my friends with pride. Taking her everywhere. What a fool I shall look.
Oh, it's a dreadful business. A dreadful business.
For heaven's sake, Elton. Elton, please, my nerves.
When I think of her, the most modest, the most simple, the innocence of all knowledge of the world. No, I can't believe it. Where are the eggs?
Over there.
Oh.
You know, Elton's driving me mad. Oh, he's a bore, Mariah.
Let him rave on.
Grumpy old thing.
Think of my position in this matter. President of a hospital, president of the lifeboat institution, chairman of various societies for the protection of unhappy women, director of a bank.
He's spilling the eggs all over the place.
Do you realize those are only a few of the public appointments I hold?
I do.
Yeah.
But the question is, what are we going to do with this woman? I'm so angry I can only think of jail for her. What do you all say? Yes, certainly, I agree.
Well, what my wife says, go.
Good. Jail? How exciting. Willie, you finished? Go and telephone for the police.
I've done it.
What?
That's a wonderful idea, Willie.
You see, I knew if she saw a policeman, it would show her that we are not people to be trifled with.
Oh, but this is frightful. Think of my position if it became known that I'd asked this woman to be my wife.
You can deny that you ever asked her? Why, of course. It's only her word against yours. Who would credit her anyway?
But the revolting thing is, I cannot.
No?
You see, being inexperienced and unacquainted with the manner in which one makes a proposal of marriage to a lady, I wrote a letter.
And what a letter. Mrs. Cheyney has just been reading me some spicy extracts.
Well, that's too bad, Elton. Poor dear, it's likely to be expensive. How terrible for you. How exciting. Still, I don't think we should allow poor dear Elton's misstep to influence our decision.
Quite right.
Yeah, I agree.
I think, Elton, that you should acquaint them with the contents of the letter.
It was a letter that took me hours to write. A letter teeming with affection and sentiment.
It certainly was. The moving picture rights to it alone are worth about £10,000.
But that
that is not all.
No.
It pains me as much to tell you this as it will pain you to hear it.
Yes.
In that letter, I wrote my private opinion of you all.
You wrote? You dared? Am I to understand that you have put on paper anything that might sound in the least disparaging to me?
I told her that I only entered your house because she was going to be there. Enough.
Am I to sit here and be insulted? Like this? Can I do nothing?
Oh, no, sugar, please. Oh, spoon, I've no...
Here's the spoon. May I ask what you wrote in that letter about me?
Yeah, fortunately, being a businessman, I kept a copy. It'll pain you, but you had better read it. There is the unhappy paragraph I wrote of you.
Good heavens, I'm a fallen woman.
Oh, no, you exaggerate. I only say that...
You only say I'm in every way an undesirable person for her to know. That if this is ever seen, I'm ruined. Help! I'm starting a stroke.
Oh, no,
Oh, please, mayn't I see?
What's this? What's this you say about my wife?
I only said that it was evident to me that she preferred always to be with some other man than her husband. And though I could understand it, I could not condone it. That is all I said.
Oh, that is all you said. Huh. That's all he said. It's a lie. My wife would rather be with me than any man.
No doubt she would. I merely mentioned that she never was.
I'll tell you what. You shouldn't be president of a hospital. You should be in one.
I agree.
Do you realize that if that woman shows this letter, my position in society is at an end? And mine?
What about me?
The question is, what are we going to do with this woman?
Let us be accurate. What is this woman going to do with us?
What?
There are two alternatives facing us. One, hand her and Charles over to justice.
No.
No, carried unanimously. The other, throw ourselves upon her mercy and buy the letter back.
And Elton pays for it.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Carried unanimously.
One moment, please. My view is this. We should not, for a moment, let her think that letter important. We should offer her her passage back to Australia, and in consideration of her returning the letter, well, matters as an end. Otherwise, she goes to jail.
Quite right, I agree. Arthur, you handled this affair. That ass has made mess enough of things already.
Steady, steady. Never slay an ass who may have to lay a golden egg. Well, now, are we all ready for the prisoners?
Yes. Hush, here they come.
Let us pray.
Courage, my sweet.
Won't you sit down?
Thank you. As Charles was born a gentleman, mayn't he sit too?
No, thanks.
I will be brief. Mrs. Cheyney, the position is as follows. You have acknowledged frankly that your acceptance of Mrs. Webley's invitation to stay here was for the purpose of taking her pearls. That is very frank of you. The penalty for such things is considerable.
Very considerable.
Charles and I think that with a charm of manner, we may get off for 3 years.
Well, I never... Exactly. Now, we have no wish that this should happen to you. Lord Elton feels very strongly that if you have once asked a woman to be your wife, it would be ungenerous to treat her so drastically.
Thank you, Lord Elton.
Not at all.
So, this is what we have decided. If you will accept your ticket and a small sum. You did mention the amount, Elton.
£100.
£100, yes. In return for the letter he wrote you, we are prepared to consider the matter closed.
Is it my turn now?
Oh, please.
I'm very sorry that I cannot accept Lord Elton's kind offer, but Charles and I have decided we must go to jail.
We have. Come. After all, you didn't succeed in getting the pearls.
Precisely. We failed. That is why we should go to jail. If we got them, we should have succeeded. A crime for which no one ever goes to jail.
You put it charmingly, Fay, dear. Thank you, my sweet.
But you didn't understand me. We don't want you to go to jail.
Then equally, you don't understand us. We do.
Quite.
Come, young woman, you can't be serious when you say you want to go to jail.
Isn't it sad, Charles? They don't understand us.
Tragic. It makes me blush for them.
Charles and I, in our humble way, have tried to live up to the highest traditions of our profession. A profession, in some form or other, we're all members of. And that tradition is never to be found out. But if you are, I say if you are, be prepared to pay the price.
I understand.
I beg pardon. The police inspector is here, madam, and says you want to see him.
Tell him to wait.
Yes, madam.
You see, Mrs. Cheyney, we are terribly serious.
It is your duty to be, Mrs. Webley.
You're very stupid not to accept a good offer rather than be taken away by that horrid policeman.
Why, not at all. He may be charming. Are you ready, Charles?
Yes, my sweet.
As I shall never see any of you again, I want you to know how much I've enjoyed knowing you all, and how sorry I am to lose such nice friends. Goodbye, Lord Elton. It was sweet of you to ask me to be your wife. Charles?
Oh, no.
Please don't bother. We'll find the policeman. Goodbye.
Oh, but Mrs. Cheyney, please, I have something to say to you.
I'm afraid I can't listen to a thing you have to say with the policeman waiting.
Well, send that infernal fellow away, Willie.
Won't you sit down? Well, obviously the bluff is over.
Have you been bluffing, Arthur?
You know perfectly well he has.
Do you know what they mean, Charles?
I'm so young in crime. I must be forgiven, I don't.
In a moment of impulse, prompted by affection for you, Lord Elton wrote you a letter asking you to be his wife.
Which I will always treasure very much.
I am authorized by Lord Elton to ask your charge for the return of that letter.
My charge? Please forgive me, but I don't know what you mean.
The suggestion is that we give you £500 and your passage to Australia.
Which I call very generous.
500? Australia? But I don't know that I should like Australia.
But you came from Australia.
No, Bloomsbury.
Bloomsbury.
Come. What will you take?
I prize the letter so very much. I don't think that I could part with it for any money you could offer me.
1,000?
But this is amazing.
Come, young woman. What is your usual charge for the return of letters?
Well, speaking as one fallen woman to another. There never have been any letters. But if there had been, my charge would depend entirely on the position and the manners of the people mentioned in them. And as I don't propose to sit here and be insulted, I will, with your kind permission, say goodbye.
You're perfectly right, Fay, darling. And if I'd known they were the type of people they are, I'd never have allowed you to come and stop with them.
No, please, please. I agree Lady Frinton was very hasty, and I'm sorry. Please sit down.
When she has apologized, I will.
Now, will you say at once that you're sorry?
I'll do nothing of the sort.
Very well, then. We leave.
No, please. I insist, you understand?
Will you say at once that you are sorry? Heaven give me strength. I'm sorry?
Granted.
Where were we?
We had reached the point where £1,000 was bid for the letter.
Which was refused.
Mrs. Cheyney, what will you take for it?
I offer 5,000.
Be quiet.
I'll do nothing of the sort. My money's as good as yours.
Will you please answer my question?
If I sell the letter, I will do so not in the sense of blackmail, but more in the spirit of breach of promise for £10,000.
What?
Good heavens, Fay, it's giving it away, that's what it is.
10,000? No. I refuse.
I'm so glad, because I'd so much rather keep the letter.
Oh, it's terrible.
Terrible be blowed. I'll give 11 for it.
Huh? Oh.
£10,000. How much do you charge for a course of 12 lessons, Charles?
I never charge, my lady. I'm a man who just loves his work.
The letter is...
Thank you. There is your letter, Lord Elton. I hope you'll find all the pieces.
Good heavens. Do you mean to say that you've destroyed the letter?
Yes, I tore it up. Like this.
Well,
Fay. £10,000 gone down the drain. And I've tried so hard to make her a crook.
Why did you tear it up?
I was born with plenty of courage. I had my share of dishonest inclinations. But of, what shall I say, decency? I'm afraid I was given too much. I don't know if you'll understand.
You're a grand woman, Fay. A grand woman.
I second that.
And the verdict, Your Honor?
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, have you arrived at a decision?
Not guilty.
Here. She's a darling. She's a gentleman.
I agree.
The case is dismissed.
Oh, golly.
Silence in the court. The judge wishes to speak with the defendant. Alone. Clear the court.
I'm jolly glad, though. I've had no sleep and no breakfast.
You have behaved most generously. And in appreciation, I should be most happy, if you will allow me, to start you in some business of your own.
That's kind of you, Lord Elton. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye, Fay, darling. You are a sport.
I'll be your first customer.
Promise?
Goodbye, Fay, dear.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, I'm so glad.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
See me before you go?
I wonder if an introduction to the president of a bank would be of service to you. Well, we'll see. Goodbye.
I say, Mrs. Cheyney, when you open that shop, Elton and I will promise you on our word of honor never to wear anything but women's underclothes. Frankly, up to this minute, I always believed he did.
Ta-ta.
Willie, come
I'm coming, dear.
Nice people, aren't they, Charles?
Most of us are, Fay, darling. Well, goodbye, my sweet.
Goodbye? What do you mean by goodbye?
What it means. Whenever you come into a person's life, come into it instantaneously. When you go out of it even quicker. Goodbye, my love.
Charles, I'm going to cry.
Don't do that, my sweet. But I'd be terribly sorry if you didn't want to.
Charles, don't go. Stay and be the manager of my shop.
No use. I'd have to be honest, and it would bore me.
You should have fallen in love.
It might have saved me. But I've never been able to manage it.
What are you going to do, Charles?
Why, I contemplate a little trip around the world. Oh, by the way, Dilling, I hate parting with it because it's the first I ever took. But here's your gold watch I took from you on Derby Day 5 years ago.
Oh, my dear Charles. I've always wanted to meet the man who took it. I hope you'll do me a favor. Keep it.
May I?
I should like you to.
Oh, that's very nice of you. Thanks, I will. Oh, so long, Dilling.
Goodbye. Oh, Charles. Are you going around the world for pleasure?
Mixed with business, my love.
Next to going around the world with the woman one loves, I can think of nothing more attractive than going around with Charles.
You'd enjoy it. You have so much in common.
I agree. You liked him?
I adored him.
How much is that?
As much as a woman can ever like a man she's not in love with.
Like to go with him?
I'd hate it.
I'm going to ask you a question. But you needn't answer it if you don't want to.
I'll answer it with pleasure. If you hadn't come into my room last night, I would have taken the pearls.
You mean that?
Yes. But of all the women that you've ever known, none has ever been so glad to see you in a bedroom as I was last night.
Thank you, Fay.
Not at all. You made an honest woman of me.
I've always believed that most of the good things done in this life were done unintentionally.
I wonder.
It's an extraordinary thing. But the most difficult question in the world to ask a woman is a nice one.
What sort of a question were you going to ask me?
I was about to describe my hopeful contribution to your future.
Please do. I'm interested.
Quite early this morning, I went to see a friend of mine, a bishop.
How surprised he must have been to see you.
Delightful old soul, so sympathetic. I told him of a little trouble I was in. He said, if you will bring her here at 11 o'clock this morning, I'll fix it for you.
What was he to fix for you?
That I could have breakfast with you tomorrow morning.
But I never eat any.
Oh, I told him there was a possibility of that.
Tell him anything else?
That I loved you.
Tell him anything about me?
Everything. He said, get her, you'll never get another like her.
What a darling he sounds. I should rather like to meet him.
He asked us to be punctual.
Oh, does he think I'll come?
He's more certain of it than I am. He says you love me.
Oh, really? I wonder what makes him think that.
I don't know. He's some sort of idea that you'd never have rung that bell last night if you hadn't.
Oh, I'm sure I shall like him. Do you think he'll like me?
He'll adore you.
Do you?
Terribly. What's more important is, do you?
Much more than terribly. I wish so. What's that?
That's the last of Mrs. Cheyney.
I'm so glad. And that?
That's the beginning of Lady Dilling.
Beast, you're never happy unless you make me cry.